Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you are all well. This is where I talk about the books that I'm reading. I like to read diverse books and I highlight Canadian literature. If you are new, thanks so much for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. I would love for you to be part of this community. Today I am going to be talking about the Reading Across Canada Challenge. I am going to be giving you some recommendations for June, which I know is already over, but I want to make sure that if you haven't already picked something up, you know, that you have some options to choose from. And my hope was to have this out weeks ago, but as many of you know, things happened at the beginning of June, and I wasn't able to get to it. Really, or to any videos over the last several weeks. But now I am getting caught up, so you will be seeing more videos coming out, like the recommendations for July and August, really soon. Okay, so if you don't know what the Reading Across Canada Challenge is, it's pretty simple. It's a reading challenge that encourages people to read Canadian literature, which we call CanLit, to read Canadian authors' Canadian stories. And this year, every month has a specific prompt that you can follow. Some people try to read a book, you know, for each province and territory. So that's something that you could do. It's really a challenge that you can do however you want, as long as you're reading CanLit. I will leave links below to the playlist, to the introductory video, which has, you know, more details and information, and also to the prompt sheet. There's a link to that, which has all of the prompts that you can use to follow. The challenge is also set up on Storygraph, thanks to Just Bean Reads, so you can check it out there and keep track of the books that you are reading for the challenge. I think that's everything. So I just want to go a little bit backwards and talk about May. The prompt in May was to read a book by a Canadian author that was a mystery, thriller, or horror book. And for that prompt, I read A Noise Downstairs by Linwood Barclay. And I will talk more about this when I do my wrap-ups. But this book had me intrigued, and it went places that I wasn't expecting. So the main character, Paul, is suffering from PTSD after a colleague attempts to kill him. And the story takes place like 8 months after that event. His wife buys him a typewriter, and he can hear strange noises like someone is typing. And then there are messages from other people that his colleague has killed. They begin to appear, and no one else can hear these noises. So Paul thinks he might be going crazy. Where this ended up was not on my radar at all, and it really kept me, you know, wanting to find out what was going to happen next. So this was a really good one. So for June's recommendations, I'm going to start with the books that I read for the prompt. The prompt in June was to read a Canadian author who is either Indigenous or who identifies with the LGBTQIA2S plus community, or both. And I actually read 3 books for this prompt. Got a little carried away. At first, I read a memoir called Me, Myself, They, and I know it says that it's by Joshua M. Ferguson, but they now go by Luna Ferguson. This has been sitting on my shelf for a very long time, and I have to thank Rebecca, because they did a video a couple months ago recommending books to their favorite booktubers. So I'll put a link to her video below, and in that video she recommended this book to me. And I thought it was a perfect match, a perfect reminder to finally read this, and bonus, it fit the prompt for June. So I will be talking more about this when I do my June wrap-up. The next 2 books I also read in June, and they can be used for both the June and May prompts because they are both books by Indigenous authors. And I thought this was really neat. First I should say they are considered mysteries as well, or even horror by some. Both books, this is what I thought was neat, both books also have a similar theme of the Wendigo or Rougarou, which is basically like different legends or mythological creatures that exist within Indigenous cultures. And the book that was the June pick for the Reading Across Canada book club was Cold by Drew Hayden Taylor. This book is another one that was not what I was expecting. And it took a lot, like it took a totally different direction, took a lot of different directions than I thought it would. And then the second book was Empire of Wild by Cherie Dimaline. I've been wanting to read this for some time as I loved The Marrow Thieves by this author, and it was interesting reading this after Cold and seeing how each author chose to write about these really important legends in their culture. So more on both of these when I do my wrap-ups. A few other books that I've already mentioned that would work for both May and June, if you haven't already read for those, is The Red Chesterfield by Wayne Arthurson. This is a quick and quirky read. I loved it. Bad Cree by Jessica Johns. This is about a young woman who is murdered and her sister starts to have dreams and is compelled to find out what really happened. And then I also mentioned Ghost Lake by Nathan Niigan, Noodin Adler. So I mentioned this for May, but this is a collection of interconnected short stories that I think could work for June as well. I had also mentioned The Listeners by Jordan Tannahill for May, but works for June as well. And this is a book that I've enjoyed more as it sank in and I've had time to sit with it. So it's, I think, a good one to check out too. For some more Indigenous authors that I would recommend there's so many to choose from, but Thomson Highway. I've talked about his memoir Permanent Astonishment before, but he has several other books, both fiction and nonfiction, so check out his backlist if this is not your thing. And then, of course, Waubgeshig is an author who I think we need to pay attention to. Moon of the Crusted Snow, and then the follow-up this year, the sequel, Moon of the Turning Leaves. These are both excellent reads if you like dystopian-type books. I would read them in order. I do think that that's important just to kind of follow the story. Another one of my favorites is Katherena Vermette, and there's The Break, there's The Strangers, and then The Circle, which is the one that I still need to read. And these are all interconnected. They're about a multi-generational Métis family, and the women are the main characters, and I love that. I would also recommend reading these in the order that they were published, but she also has poetry and graphic novels if that's more your thing, so definitely check out her backlist as well. A book that I talked about in my last book haul was Nauetakuan, A Silence for a Noise, and this is by Natasha Kanape Fontaine. It's translated from the French by Howard Scott. So this is something to check out if you're interested, one I still need to read as well. Some other authors that could work for you if you were looking for writers who identify with the LGBTQIA2S+ community. I mentioned Disobedience by Daniel Sarah Karasik in my last haul, I think it was. Daniel is a non-binary author, so this is one I still need to read. And it's been a while since I mentioned this author, but Nancy Jo Cullen and her novel, The Western Alienation Merit Badge. I think it's an underrated novel that I don't hear too many people talk about, so it's good to kind of have this on the list. And then I've mentioned this book, Coventry by Helen Humphreys, before when we read it with the Reading Across Canada book club. She has several other books to choose from. I've read about 4 from her, and I have liked all of her books, so A book that is on my radar that I recently picked up is by Katherena Hernandez. Behind You. This is her most recent publication. It's her 4th novel, so there are others to choose from. I also still need to read Crosshairs, but I really can't wait to get to Behind You. I have been intrigued as soon as I heard about it. This book is inspired by true events of a real Canadian serial killer who I remember and know about. In the book, he is known as the Scarborough Stalker, and the idea of the book is to turn, the idea of victims and perpetrators and really rape culture on its head. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Katherena Hernandez, pulls this off and how she does this. And I think the last author, last but not least, I think I'm going to recommend Michael Crummey again here. We read his book, The Innocents, with the Reading Across Canada book club, and that only made me want to read more from him. So I have several of his books on my shelf, but the 2 that I'm most interested in are River Thieves and one more here, and Galore. So these 2 are kind of on my radar that I wouldn't mind reading soon. Hopefully there are a few recommendations there that are of interest to you. Please let me know if you have read any of these, or what did you read for June's prompt if you have already. What would you like to still read for June's prompt if you haven't? Do you have any other suggestions that you would add to this list that you think these would be good books to include? Let us know, and be on the lookout for July and August recommendations. Those videos will be coming soon, so we will hopefully be back on track very shortly. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.